I'm excited, but I'm also disappointed that a podcast like this needs to exist. This is the Meming List podcast. Now, generally speaking, we are going to go over memes that have been circulating and make some sort of statement of fact or opinion that is assumed the people reading it should believe, but is not actually based in any real facts. Okay. So that I want to dismantle memes, and I don't care if it's left wing, right wing. If it's not true, I want to tear it apart.
Okay.
And for the pilot episode, so like for the most part, we'll be going over memes that are contemporary, so like things that are current. But for this pilot episode, I want to go over something from several years ago that I saw floating around Facebook that made me want to. And it, like, if it's on Facebook and I saw it, you know it was a long time ago. I don't use Facebook, but but this is a meme I saw floating around Facebook a long time ago, and thinking about this made me want to do this podcast. So I want you to read out loud this meme, and I want you to kind of explain what you're seeing in the meme.
Okay, so we got like a top and bottom photo here. We got Trayvon Martin on top, and then we have Marley Lion on the bottom. And in Trayvon Martin's picture here, it says 17 years old when shot and killed while unarmed by a 30-year-old white Hispanic man in Sanford, Florida on February 26, 2012. This story made national news and was recognized by the president and countless celebrities. On the bottom half, we got Marley Lion's picture. It says, 17 years old when shot and killed while unarmed by a 30-year-old black man in Charleston, South Carolina on June 16, 2012. This story never made it past the local news. You tell me, what's the difference?
The difference is what we're going to talk about. So, as explained, you got Trayvon Martin on the top and Marley Lion on the bottom. To go over things that are true, yes, they were both 17 when they were killed. They also Trayvon Martin's story did make national news.
Okay.
Obviously.
Yeah, I remember hearing about
famous.
that.
Yeah,
and I don't watch the news, so if I heard about it.
Yeah, so very famous, and very infamous situation that happened to Trayvon Martin. And then it is also true that Marley Lion's story did not make it past the local news as far as I can find. I searched and I searched. I couldn't find anything that showed that it did go past local news.
Okay.
So that is true. They were both shot by 30-year-old people. Mm-hmm. Trayvon Martin was shot and killed by a 30-year-old white Hispanic person. And Marley Lion, a white kid, was shot by a black person. It is though all that is definitely true.
Right.
And it is definitely true that Trayvon Martin, being a black kid getting shot, made national headlines. It became this huge protest and everything like that. Marley Lion, a white kid who got shot by a black person, didn't really make the news. All that's absolutely true. That is completely true.
Right.
Now at the bottom, you have this sort of arrogant phrase, you tell me what's the difference.
Right.
And that's what I'm going to get into. So in order to give sort of a background for both of these situations, for Trayvon Martin, on February 19th, 2012, that was 2012, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, God, that's going back. That's like 11 years ago.
Yeah.
It's weird because like it's still in our minds,
Yeah, it doesn't feel like 11 years ago.
Yeah, but like on February 19th, the offense report put out by the Stanford Police Department, and I kind of read through this. The Trayvon Martin was absolutely new to Stanford, Florida. He had moved there with his father from Miami so that his father could live with his fiance. His fiance was renting a townhouse in a place called Twin Lakes. So Twin Lakes is like a little bit of a nicer neighborhood. They've got like neighborhood watch. I don't think it was exactly a gated community, although it has been referred to that way in the media and things like that.
Okay.
I don't know for certain that it actually is a gated community or not. I couldn't find absolute confirmation on that. But a lot of people refer to it as a gated community. But by gated, I don't know if they mean literally or, it's just a nice place that, where wealthy people live.
Yeah, it's got a fence at the beginning.
It
looks nice.
I say wealthy, but I mean like upper middle class, which, I've never been. But at 6:24 p.m., according to the security cameras at a 7-Eleven, Trayvon Martin bought some Skittles and an Arizona watermelon drink. I've always thought those Arizona watermelon drinks were like a tea, but I don't know if it's actually a tea or if it's just a juice drink. I guess that doesn't matter.
No.
But anyway, so he bought one of those. I don't drink them anyway because I avoid caffeine.
Right.
But that's what he bought. I guess I don't know why I'm harping on that, but I am.
It's important to know the details.
But you got to. Well, here that's the thing. There are a lot of details that I have left out just for time's sake, and also
right.
To not bore people with so many details, because I have read a lot of details on this. But there are some things that I have left out. But in terms of referring to this meme, there are certain things that are important to know. So on his way home, he's talking to his girlfriend on the phone. In the police report, it says somebody who was reported to be his girlfriend. He was on the phone with a girl, and she was reported to be his girlfriend.
Okay.
That's what it says in the police report. But reading later on news stories, she does claim to be his girlfriend. Whether they are or not, like that's not important. But he was on the phone with a girl. During his conversations, according to some reports, he actually was expressing concern that he was being stalked by somebody. So Trayvon Martin felt like he was being stalked, and he was. Somebody was following him throughout the neighborhood because this somebody found him suspicious.
Okay.
I don't want to speculate too much, but I can't imagine that a 17-year-old white boy would be considered suspicious just for walking around with some Skittles and
talking to a person on the phone.
Talking on the cell phone.
Nobody would look twice at that kid.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly right. And like, I don't want to speculate too much, but it's really hard not to make that assumption.
Right.
Yeah. But this somebody was an armed person named George Zimmerman. He was doing a neighborhood watch. So he calls the Sanford Police Department at 7:09. And that's from the actual Sanford Police Department's records. At 7:09, he calls them. So we've got 6:24. He leaves the 7-Eleven. At 7:09, Zimmerman has called the police.
So he's been following this kid for more than half an hour.
Well, I don't know. I don't know when he started following him.
Oh, okay.
All I know is when he called the police.
Oh, all right.
And he seemed to be concerned about this black kid who was wearing a hoodie and literally had a bag of Skittles and a juice, and was talking on the phone. And
I never trust anybody who eats Skittles.
Yeah, no, you got to draw the line right there.
Yeah, right.
All right.
Skittles, M&Ms are cool. Skittles, that's too far.
Yeah, that's why in every action movie, where the police are like, he's got Skittles, you get him. That's
first person to be shot there, the guy with the bag of Skittles.
Oh yeah, and for good reason too.
Right.
Because God forbid Skittles. He might be mixing them with some M&Ms. He could be looking for chaos. Who knows?
Oh man, that's a terrible thing to do. Put Skittles in your M&Ms. Want some M&Ms? Yeah, sure.
Some people just want to watch the world burn,
Yeah. Oh, I wouldn't be friends with them anymore.
Oh God, no. If you put Skittles in your M&Ms, that's if you do it for yourself, fine. But if you do it and you leave the bowl out in the break room, That's a problem. That's when you've crossed a fucking line.
I kind of like it. I kind of want to do it.
I guarantee, I can almost guarantee by the end of the year, you're going to do that at work.
Just put like 3 Skittles in there and just wait.
Just see the reaction. Oh my god. You go in on your day off so you can spend all day in the break room and just wait for somebody to like take a handful what they think are M&Ms, but there's like a few Skittles in there. Oh, that's terrible. That's a mean thing to do. That's horrible. That's a horrible thing. So George Zimmerman calls the police department, the Sanford Police Department, at 7:09. And during this call, Zimmerman says some things that I find kind of telling, in my opinion. Again, I don't want to speculate a lot, but this seems suspect to me.
Yeah.
But George Zimmerman makes a call to the Sanford Police Department at 7:09. And during this call, he says some things, including that the person he is following is running. And this is how the conversation continues. Mm-hmm. Like, so the person's running. Well, you've been stalking them.
Yeah,
like
you're freaking him out.
Yeah, you're freaking a person out, and they're running away from you.
Yeah, he's a young kid.
Yeah,
he's trying to get home and get away from the psycho that's following him.
Exactly, I would be, and he's in a brand new neighborhood. Yeah. This is one of his first nights there,
and this is in Florida, right? There's all kinds of crazy people in Florida.
Yeah. Just look up the phrase "Florida man," and like you're gonna see a lot of fucking crazy shit.
Yeah. They're the ones that had zombies and what was it, bath salts?
Yeah. Yes, the first place I should say on Earth that I've ever heard of actual real life zombies is Florida. Freaking run! Yeah. Run! Yeah. If somebody's being creepy, get the hell out of there. Like I think Trayvon, if he was running, was in the right to run. You know? He was being followed by some creep, and he could not have known this at the time. It was an armed person who was following him. Yeah. And it's terrifying to even think about. Because there have been times when I've been out late at night, and there have been times when I've been in Chicago and big cities and things like that. Mm-hmm. And there's been a weird car that slows down and just kind of follows me along. And the first thing in my mind is like, what, that fucker has a gun, and that freaks me out, and I would, if I felt the capacity to do so, I would run, I normally just kind of pretended like I was whatever, or I'd like call a friend and just pretend to be on the phone, something like that, just to like deflect the danger, Mm-hmm. So, Trayvon Martin, if he ran, that's absolutely reasonable in my opinion. But during this call, and I'm going to kind of go over how the conversation went, and I think this says a lot. So, the dispatcher says, "Are you following him?" And Zimmerman says, "Yes." The dispatcher says, "Okay, we don't need you to do that."
Yeah.
And Zimmerman says, "Okay." We know the ending to this story, so we know that okay was not the end of it.
Right.
So Trayvon Martin's phone call ends at about 7:15. And then about 7:16, there is a 911 call. Not from Zimmerman, but from a concerned person who lives in the neighborhood. They witness a fight, and they hear some calls for help. I couldn't find anything that was reputable enough for me to say for sure who was yelling for help. It might have been Zimmerman. It might have been Trayvon. I don't know. But during that phone call, you could hear some gunshots. So during the 911 phone call, gunshots went off. So Zimmerman gets into custody, and Trayvon Martin is pronounced dead at the scene. At approximately 1 a.m., Zimmerman is released after about 5 hours of being in somebody
Question.
died.
Yeah.
Somebody died, so they're going to question.
Oh, yeah.
And so Zimmerman is released after about 5 hours of that. And if you've seen the mugshots or if you've seen any of the photos, Zimmerman's smiling,
Oh.
which is wrong.
That's suspicious right there.
Even
Don't let
if
him leave.
here's the thing, even if you think you thwarted some bad guy,
Yeah.
a life ended. You
Yeah.
know, period.
It's not something to be happy about.
No, not at all. And like that is like on its own, just on the face of it, it's infuriating, you know?
Yeah.
Like I and I know a lot of people, I've seen a lot of the troll comments and things like that saying, you know, Trayvon was a thug and yada, 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 you know, which thug is the new N word. But like, I see a lot of people throwing around those comments and things like that. But like, would you support a death penalty to somebody who might maybe look like a criminal? I mean,
It's going to be a lot of people. You know,
really
you just
think
be like,
about it.
That guy looks suspicious. Let's shoot him.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
it's
that's
like,
gonna be like this is gonna be like Thanos in
yeah,
those
you
Marvel
snap the
movies. You're just
finger,
like,
you snap
bam,
the
half
fingers
the
and
population's dead because you
Yeah.
look suspicious.
Perfect. That's a perfect example. I mean, or that's a perfect way to put it, because the thing is that all of a sudden anybody who looks suspicious like should die. I mean,
Yeah.
like regardless of if Trayvon Martin, and I'm not gonna like research his life and make judgments about who he was or whatever. But some things I know is that he's not a murderer.
Right.
He hasn't committed any felonies that had him in prison at that time, you know, and I don't know if he had like any sort of serious criminal background. He's 17 years old.
Right.
You know, and even if he did commit some crimes, he's a fucking kid, you know?
Yeah.
He's a child.
Yeah.
Like,
he wasn't in the act of doing anything at the moment anyway. So
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
This
He's
guy has
walking
absolutely
around.
no reason to step in and do anything about it. He's not a police officer. He has no right. He's not a judge, jury, or anything like that.
Exactly. But
It's not his call.
Yet in that moment, he was judge, jury, and executioner.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what happened. And he was let go after 5 hours with no charges.
Yeah.
So at 8:39 in the morning, Trayvon Martin's father reported his son missing. At around 9:20 in the morning, the SPD, the Sanford Police Department, informs Trayvon Martin's father that Trayvon has died. For, in my opinion, very good reasons. Martin's family was very critical about the SPD's response to the situation.
Yeah, because this is, 12 hours later? What time?
Yeah, I mean, essentially 12
more
hours
than 12,
later,
yeah.
like it was after he died, it was about 12 hours
Yeah.
after. He's been dead for 12 hours, and the police department knew it, and the police department also, like, because he was pronounced dead at the scene, and the police department had already just let the guy go who killed him.
Yeah.
And like they knew who took the shot. They know who shot Trayvon, and nothing has been done.
Wow.
And also they let the guy go with no charges. So Trayvon Martin's family, obviously very critical of the SPD. They start a change.org petition. Do you know what change.org is?
No, not really.
Okay, so this is why I like having you as part of the podcast, because the thing is I get to explain things to you, because
Yeah.
like you're not into politics,
No, I don't follow any of this stuff.
but I kind of am,
Right.
and so like as I explained it to you, listeners can also learn
Right.
as well. So change.org is a site where you can make petitions, and if you get enough backers to your petition, Barack Obama himself will respond to your petition.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it's been used for good and bad things.
Oh, I'm
obviously,
sure, yeah.
just like everything else.
Somebody's going to put a thing on there. We need to start mixing Skittles and M&Ms together. See how many signatures they can get for that.
20 million backers. No.
No.
Oh, God. 20 million psychotic backers. But no, they made this change.org petition. So essentially what change.org is for is so that you can bring a concern to the public and try to get a change to happen to fix or to support whatever it is that you're concerned about.
Right.
It's a good site.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a good thought. It's one of the better things that the government has done.
Yeah.
And I fucking hate the government sometimes.
Yeah. Unfortunately,
I'd say more than half the time I hate the fucking government. But it's one of the better things that the government has done, and I think it's a good program. And also there's no limit. Like it's not saying only these people can make a change.org petition. Anybody can do it. And I encourage everybody, if you actually do sincerely stand for something, go to change.org and try to make a difference,
Yeah.
So eventually their petition on change.org got over 2 million supporters, which is
sounds pretty good. Yeah.
It's insane.
That's
That's
cool.
crazy. The family created this change.org petition, and it obviously did get attention.
Yeah.
2 million people. And because they were upset that somebody shot their son dead. The authorities know who did it, and no charges are being brought.
That's ridiculous. I can't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How infuriating is that? Could
Yeah,
you even
as
imagine?
a family member, that would be awful.
Could you even imagine? I
Yeah.
I don't have any kids, and I don't plan to. But if somebody shot my any of my family members and killed
Yeah.
them, and there was no justice being held, it would boil my blood. I would literally, my blood would actually be boiling.
Yeah.
I'd probably die because I'd boil to death.
That would be a good way to go.
Yeah, but but no, it's infuriating to even think about that. So this happened on February 19th, and eventually it starts to get a lot of public attention. On March 12th, so almost a month later,
Mhm.
the chief of police, his name is Bill Lee. I knew
All right.
you were gonna chuckle at that. I was prepared.
I just wonder, people name their kids things, and it's like, do you know it sounds stupid?
I wonder why he doesn't just go by William.
Yeah.
William Lee.
Yeah.
That kind of sounds cool too. William Lee.
Yeah, I like the sound of that.
And
but
it
Bill
even
Lee?
almost sounds like intellectual. William Lee. My name is William Lee.
Yeah.
What would you like to know?
But you call somebody Bill Lee,
Hey, yeah.
and you're like,
My name is Billy Lee. Bill Lee, as most people call me.
yeah. You're like, where's that little weird pause in there?
You can call me Lee Lee.
Yeah, I'm gonna go talk to somebody else now. Sorry.
I'm sorry. You call yourself the chief of police? I doubt it. Well, I call myself the chief of police. Oh,
All
God,
right.
that's
Do you have a
awful.
deputy I could talk to?
Is there anybody not you?
Secretary, something. I'll just call 911. It'll be all right.
Hell, I'll talk to the dispatcher at this point. I don't care.
Anybody? Bathroom attendant? Anybody?
You guys got a janitor I can talk to?
You got a dog holding a set of keys for the jail cells. I'll talk to the dog.
The guy with the broomstick trying to get the set of keys from behind the bars. Can I talk to him? I feel like he sounds more reputable than a guy named Bill Lee. No, it's a silly name, but
Yeah.
I knew you would get a kick out of that. That's why I had to pause as soon as I said the name.
You knew it was coming.
Yeah, I knew it was coming. I knew we would go off on a nonsense tangent as soon as I said that name. But
It'd be funny if that was in your script. Pause for nonsense.
I was surprised I didn't put that in, honestly, because that sounds like a note I would make. But chief of police,
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Lee.
Yep. There you go. So wait, Lee's his last name? I was picturing like a
Lee is his
middle
last name. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
no. It's Bill Lee.
That's even worse.
Yeah, I know.
Sorry.
I know. It's rough. But anyway, he came out with a quote on March 12th, following the incident. And at this point, there's already a lot of attention that has been brought to the case.
Mm-hmm.
And Mr. Lee says there is no evidence to dispute Zimmerman's assertion that he shot Martin out of self-defense. The part about this that concerns me is, would he have had to shoot Trayvon Martin out of self-defense if he would have listened to the dispatcher?
Yeah, if he'd quit chasing and quit freaking the
and
kid out.
not followed
Yeah.
Trayvon Martin.
Yeah, probably would have been fine. The kid would have ran away, would have gone home. He'd have told
Yeah.
his parents about it, and that probably would have been the end of it.
Exactly right. Yeah. By March 22nd, Lee temporarily steps aside as chief.
Jeez. All right.
a little brief window of good news.
Yeah.
So then on April 11th,
Okay.
this is 7 weeks and 3 days after Zimmerman shot and killed Trayvon Martin.
Yep.
And the authorities knew from day one who did it. So there wasn't a mystery that they were trying to solve. 7 weeks and 3 days later, and a lot of protests. You have statements from the president of the United fucking States talking about this. And he even says that if he had a son, he would look like Trayvon. And like, for some reason, a lot of right-wing things like, oh, why would he have to say that? But it's like, what? Fucking, if he had a son, he probably would look similar to Trayvon.
It was true.
You know, like he just said us a fact, you know?
Yeah.
And they threw a freaking fit about it. But so after 7 weeks and 3 days, finally, Zimmerman is charged with second-degree murder.
Wow.
So on June 13th, 2012, Zimmerman is found not guilty.
Right.
So he followed a kid around, scared the kid, shot him dead, and found not guilty.
Wow.
The reason why he was found not guilty is because of a law in Florida called the Stand Your Ground law.
Okay.
What it means is that anyone who sincerely believes that their life is at stake has the right to take another life in order to save themselves. On the surface, it almost sounds okay.
Yeah, except that's not what happened.
But that's not what happened.
No.
Yeah. No, he could have avoided the situation. And in fact was told to
Yeah.
by the dispatcher.
Yeah, the professional who knows what's going on. It'd be like,
Yes.
cool it. We'll come out, if we need to. And yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And I have a very special question at the end of this
Uh-oh.
that regards the Stand Your Ground law. So we are going to move on to Marley Lyon. Marley Lyon, and I have this part a little more scripted. So it was in the very early morning, before sunrise, about 4 a.m.
Okay.
In Charleston, South Carolina, and an intoxicated 17-year-old named Marley Lyon
Uh-oh.
pulled his Nissan Pathfinder into a parking lot and decided to sleep in his vehicle, presumably to avoid driving drunk any further.
Right.
Which I think is a responsible decision.
Yeah, he sort of made the right call. It was a little late because he drove to the parking lot, but he made the right call eventually.
Yeah. Like he probably shouldn't have started driving in the first place, but he definitely made the right decision.
Yeah.
He did exactly what if you like sometimes, and I'll admit this, like sometimes you think, oh, I've only had a couple of drinks, I'm fine.
Yeah.
And then you get in your car and start moving, and you're like,
Well,
shit,
maybe
I'm
fine.
not fine. You know,
Yeah.
and I think that's probably what he did.
Yeah.
He made the right decision. He pulled into a parking lot to take a nap, and like, you know, a few hours I'll get up, and then I'll keep driving. Like
Right.
that's presumably, we can't know because he's dead.
Right.
But like I think that's the right thing to do. You know, if
Okay.
you ever, first off, never drive drunk.
Right.
Do not do it ever. But if you ever get in your car thinking that you're fine, and you start moving and you don't feel fine, Marley made the right decision.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
he knew he wasn't able to drive, and he did the right thing, and he pulled into a parking lot to nap it off. That is the best thing you can do.
Yeah.
And please, anybody listening, do not take this story as an excuse to continue driving drunk ever. Period. You could kill yourself, other people. I actually witnessed. Did I tell you I was there? So there's a video going around on the internet of a girl who was driving drunk and killed 2 people.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and basically their bodies exploded. She was hitting them so hard.
Whoa.
There was a leg sticking out of her the grill of her car. I was there.
Whoa, you saw that happen?
I
Or
didn't
you
see.
saw the aftermath?
I saw the aftermath. I
Oh,
didn't see it
gosh.
happen. I saw the aftermath. So
You're like, that's a cool Halloween decoration.
no, fuck. So what happened? This is a tangent. Sorry, everybody. But if you've seen, I'll put a link in the description. But if you have seen the video going around saying that, like, you know, psycho girl laughs after killing 2 people, or you
She's
know,
laughing.
oh yeah,
Oh my
that's how
God.
intoxicated she was. She
Wow.
was messed up.
Was she drunk or was she on drugs? Do they know? Do you know?
I personally, watching her behavior and seeing, like, and also hearing some of the things that she says, I feel like it can't just be alcohol.
Yeah.
But I don't want to assume that, you know.
Right.
But she was obviously drunk.
Mhm.
She even admits to it on the video. She fails her breathalyzer test. She fails which we'll go over that one actually too.
Okay.
We'll go over that one in the next episode, especially since I was there. You know.
Yeah.
So basically, what happened was that I couldn't sleep, and
Yeah.
a lot of times when I can't sleep, I'll go out and play Pokemon
Okay.
until I feel tired enough to come home and go to bed. And so I went out and I played Pokemon. I was over at the Stony Creek Inn, and I heard a bunch of chaos,
Yeah.
and I didn't know what was going on. So I drove up the access road a little bit to see what the chaos was about. And suddenly there were ambulances and police cars and all this stuff. And there was no life-saving measures
No.
being taken. There were just photos being taken, which is a bad sign.
Yeah. That means they
and-
know. There's no
which
doubt at all. These people are dead.
She clearly killed 2 people. If you are all listeners, if you are at all curious about this story, we'll do it on a next one, because this is making its rounds right now. I got it sent from my brother, and he didn't even know I was there.
Wow.
My brother sent me a video of this, and I'm like, guess what? I was across the street the whole time that was happening. So, yeah, no, I was there for that one. So that's gonna be a special episode.
Oh,
honestly,
wow.
it's
messed up.
so messed up. It's
Yeah.
horrible. And I'll link videos and the memes and everything else in the description. I have a video of her at the hospital. I have video of her sobriety tests and things like that. I'll link all that in the next episode. But we'll talk about that. We might talk about that next. I actually had the next episode pulled up, already planned, but that's actually a better one because I'm actually witness to
Yeah, you
part of
got
it.
like first-hand account.
I have first-hand account to part of it.
Wow.
I wasn't like up close, but I was watching, and I'll explain the rest.
Yeah.
I kind of want to keep going on this, but no, I'll explain the rest on our second episode. But there was another experience that I had that it reminded me of, and that's why I knew it was bad news as soon as I saw the camera flashes going off. But anyway, let's continue with the episode that we're doing now. That's a little teaser for next time for everybody if you want to listen.
Hear something gruesome.
We're gonna do that as episode 2. In fact, we might just do it immediately. We might record it immediately if we can get through this.
Right.
But okay, so we have moved on to Marley Lion.
Right.
I that was a huge tangent. But it works, because like people can
It's
check
a
out the
sneak
next.
peek.
People can check. It's a little sneak peek of the next episode. Which I didn't realize was going to be the next episode, but that's so right because it is going around as a meme right now.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we're moving on to Marley Lion. So Marley Lion, he, like I said, very early morning, he was driving, probably realized he was too intoxicated to drive, pulled into a parking lot to sleep. And as we said, that's a good decision. That's the right thing to do. He did exactly what he should have done. The vehicle was approached by some black men who were intending on robbing the vehicle, as it was parked in this parking lot.
Right.
Lion was sleeping, or attempting to at least, in the car, and upon the attempted break-in, he woke up and ended up setting off his car alarm with the key fob. At first, the would-be robber, the guy who was coming to try to get into the car, at first that would-be robber ran away because the car alarm's going off. It's going to get some attention. He doesn't want to be around, and get caught robbing a car. But this robber, he's a 30-year-old named Ryan DeLeston. And he returned to the car and shot Marley Lion dead.
Okay.
Absolutely senseless murder.
Yeah.
Just no reason at all.
Just because he wanted what this kid may have had in the car. He didn't even know that there was anything in there.
Here's the thing.
He's a 17-year-old kid. What's he going to have in his pocket?
I saw the footage of this. The CCTV footage of this, like the security cameras. He just shot him.
Just straight up, just bang.
And then left.
He didn't even take anything?
No.
He didn't even go through the car?
No. Well, as far as in the video, he didn't.
Huh.
So it just looks like a literally senseless murder. Like he just killed the fucking kid for no reason at all.
That's fucked up.
Yeah. And remember, in the meme, it shows Trayvon Martin, who was murdered.
Yeah.
And Marley Lion, who was murdered.
Mm-hmm.
Both 17, both killed by 30-year-olds. Trayvon Martin killed by a white Hispanic guy.
Mm-hmm.
And Marley Lion killed by a black guy.
Right.
And the one Trayvon Martin who got murdered it made national headlines, in fact international, essentially.
Right.
And Marley Lion was murdered by a black 30-year-old, and it didn't make any news at all. And so that's they're trying to, and then at the end of it, it says, "You tell me what the difference is."
I'm gonna read your meme again. Can I just scroll back to it?
Yep, absolutely.
Okay. I won't look at your stuff you got written down, but I just want to see this again.
Yeah, and feel free to read it out loud again. Like just kind of go over it again, and just like take the time to really understand it, and feel free to talk out loud about it.
Okay, let's see. So I'm going to go ahead and read this again. We're going to do a little recap. So Trayvon Martin, 17 years old when shot and killed while unarmed by a 30-year-old white Hispanic man in Sanford, Florida on February 16th, 2012. This story made national news and was recognized by the president and countless celebrities. Marley Lion also 17 years old, when shot and killed while unarmed by a 30-year-old black man in Charleston, South Carolina on June 16th, 2012. This story never made it past the local news. Okay. So, I mean, both of these kids were just being kids.
And then you tell me what's the difference, is what it says at the bottom there.
Yeah.
You know, this is my favorite part about memes. I say sarcastically, is the arrogance in them. You tell me what's the difference. You know, like just that phrase alone is wildly arrogant. And that's why we're covering it. Marley Lyon making a perfectly good decision.
Yeah.
To pull into this thing. And but ends up losing his life just sitting in his car, you know. Absolutely senseless. Horrible fucking murder. So I want to ask you a question.
Mm-hmm.
When the authorities were aware of who shot Trayvon Martin, how many people were arrested and charged?
Like right then? Nobody. Right? They just let the guy go.
Zero people.
They questioned him for what, 5 hours and let him go after he took his happy little snapshot there at the mugshot?
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. How long did it take him to arrest this guy?
We are sitting here trying to figure out what's the difference. You tell me what is the difference, okay?
Yeah.
This is where I tell you the fucking difference of your stupid fucking meme that should not have ever made the rounds in the first place.
Right.
And I am fucking furious about this because the fact that you even have the audacity to create an idiotic meme like this and to ask me, you tell me what the difference is. This is the reason why I want to start this podcast. And this is the reason why I want to fight against the stupidity that is the surface level understanding of nonsense, of like this nonsensical approach to things that actually matter. Like it pisses me the fuck off that the difference between these two things is so fucking stark. Mm-hmm. Let me read to you. So, knowing that George Zimmerman was the person who shot Trayvon Martin, knowing that from the beginning, 7 weeks, over 7 weeks later, finally he gets charged with second-degree murder, and he is found not guilty.
Right.
That, and the fact that he wasn't charged was the reason why people were up in arms in the first place. In this case, when a white 17-year-old person was murdered by a single individual named Ryan DeLeston, who is a horrible piece of fucking shit, obviously.
Yeah.
Killing a poor kid for absolutely no goddamn reason. He deserves to spend his life behind bars. I am glad he's in prison. But let me explain the difference between that Trayvon Martin case and the Marley Lyon case. And the difference here is the charges that were dropped on the people involved. Once it was figured out who it was, it took a 6-week investigation to figure out who killed Marley Lyon.
Mm-hmm.
And not only was the police department involved, not only was the government involved, the fucking Department of Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives was also involved.
Oh, wow.
So, like, there was a huge undertaking to figure out one of our whites was killed. Let's figure this shit out. They put tons of money into figuring this out.
Right.
And to their credit, they figured it out. They found out who it was. And again, I'm going to bitch about the government a lot in these podcasts, but to their credit, they did figure it out. And I am thankful that they did, because if there's murderers on the street, get them off the street, you know?
Yeah, they're just going to do it again.
Yeah.
I mean, especially this guy who clearly didn't care. I mean, the kid set off his car alarm. Sorry.
Yeah.
And he came back and shot him. And he didn't even rob the kid, which was his original plan. So, like, this guy clearly doesn't give a shit.
He killed the kid for no reason.
Yeah.
You know, so he obviously belongs in prison.
Yeah.
So, Brian DeLeston, after the murder of the white 17-year-old, charged with murder, attempted armed robbery, use of a deadly weapon during a violent crime, and possession of a handgun with a removed serial number.
Oh, yeah.
What was remind me, what was George Zimmerman charged with again when they knew he was the one? Oh, nothing. That's right. That was nothing. Okay. All right. Let's move on.
Yeah.
So, Brian Rivers, who was with him at the time, Brian Rivers wasn't the one with the gun, didn't pull the trigger, didn't murder Marley Lyon.
Yep.
Yet, he was charged with murder, attempted armed robbery, distribution of an imitation controlled substance, possession of a firearm by a violent convicted felon, and possession of a handgun with a removed serial number.
Wow. Okay.
That's weird. Oh, again, what was George Zimmerman charged with when they knew that he shot Trayvon Martin?
I don't remember. Nothing?
I think it was nothing.
Yeah.
I think it was nothing.
I think so.
I'm pretty certain it was nothing. But we'll get back to that. Julius Brown, who was also there, 32 years old.
Wow.
Charged with murder. It's weird because I thought
Only one person shot him, right?
I thought Ryan pulled the trigger.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Julius Brown.
Shouldn't it be like an accomplice to murder or something like that?
He was charged with murder. He was just charged with murder.
I don't know how this works. I just watch the Law and Order shows on TV.
He was also charged with obstruction of justice and attempted armed robbery.
Okay.
Which is kind of like what George Zimmerman was charged with. Wait, no. He was charged with. Was it nothing?
I think it was nothing.
I'm pretty certain it was nothing.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was nothing. Yeah. Then George Brown. No, I'm sorry. George Brown, not Julius Brown. George Brown, 27 years old. And I will say George Brown actually was key to helping this investigation take place. He was key to helping the convictions take place. And I think that's the only reason why he wasn't also charged with murder. He came forward to the authorities, and I'll be fair. I don't think that Brian Rivers, Julius Brown, George Brown, I don't think any of them expected somebody to be killed that night.
No.
DeLeston just fucking murdered a person.
Yeah.
You know, I think they were not intending on killing a person that night, but DeLeston just fucking did it. And which is cold-blooded and awful, and he needs to be off the streets.
Yeah, definitely.
And he got life in prison.
Wow.
Brian Rivers got a 28-year sentence. Julius Brown, 32, got a 28-year sentence as well. And then George Brown got a lesser sentence because he was only charged with accessory to murder after the fact. So, what's the difference here?
That sounds like a lot.
Sounds like a fucking lot. Exactly.
Yeah.
So, a black kid is killed, and 0 people go to jail.
Right.
Which Zimmerman did spend a little time in jail during 7 weeks later, once the it made national attention.
Right.
And this can't be proven one way or another. But a lot of people believe that if it didn't get that level of attention, George Zimmerman never would have been charged.
Right.
And looking at the history of stand your ground cases in Florida, I'm gonna have to say, yeah, he probably would have never been charged.
Right.
Just looking at those cases. But the difference here is that they knew George Zimmerman killed Trayvon Martin and didn't charge him and weren't planning to. It didn't, at least appear not to plan to.
Yeah,
and even when they did charge him, he gets not guilty. But when a white kid is murdered, 4 people go to prison.
Yeah.
4. White kids murdered, 4 people go to prison. Black kids murdered, 1 person doesn't go to prison. 0 people go to prison. That's the fucking difference. And this is why you need to dig into these memes and why you need to understand what the fucking difference is when people are saying, when they post the stupid Willy Wonka memes and the crap like that. And that's the reason why I wanted to start this podcast. And the question I said earlier that I was going to ask you a question at the end of all this.
Mm-hmm.
So, black kid is killed, 0 people go to prison. White kid is killed, 4 people go to prison. This meme harps on the attention that one got, not the other.
Right.
When that doesn't matter. What matters is where the justice is. Did these 4 people deserve to go to prison? Yeah, probably.
Well, at least the one guy, yeah.
Yeah. Especially the guy who literally pulled the trigger.
Yeah.
Ryan DeLeston is his name. He does not deserve anonymity. He is a horrible fucking murderer, and he deserves to spend the rest of his life in prison. Mm-hmm. And he's in there without the possibility of parole. And I'm all for it,
Yeah, I'm all right with that.
You fucking took a life. You didn't know the kid. You didn't know anything with him. There was nothing, no anger or nothing. There was nothing. He did not transgress you in any way. You murdered a kid for literally no reason. You deserve to be in prison for life. But black kid is murdered. Nobody gives a shit. Even after all the national attention it got. So this meme does the opposite of the thing that it thinks it's doing.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you look into it and you look at the details, you understand that exactly the reason why people are up in arms is because of the thing that you think you're making a point about.
Yeah.
It's nuts. But yeah, like I said I was going to ask you a question.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of this and see what your opinion is on this. So the reason why George Zimmerman was not even convicted of manslaughter, he was charged with murder of the second degree. And guess what? He's in witness protection, and you and I are paying for it.
Oh, sure.
Through our tax money. So, fantastic, cool. We get to pay for him to be off the grid, which is amazing. I love doing that. But the reason why he was let off on that is because of the stand your ground law.
Right.
In Florida. A while after this situation, because of how sensitive it was, there was some question that came in and saying, should the stand your ground law be repealed? Should it be changed? Should there be at least an amendment to it? So should something be adjusted with stand your ground?
Right.
And in my opinion, I would say yes. But he got off because he sincerely believed that his life was at risk.
Mm-hmm.
But he was told not to follow Trayvon. He was
Yeah.
told not to pursue what he was doing. He was told not to do the thing he was doing.
Right.
He instigated the situation. Trayvon Martin expressed concern for his own safety when he was being approached. Imagine that Trayvon won that fight.
Yeah.
Would he get off on Stand Your Ground?
I really doubt it.
Yeah, same. Same.
Yeah, I'm sure he'd be in jail right now.
Oh, yeah. He'd be in prison for the rest of his life for murder, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
And that's it. That's our pilot episode.
Man, what a mess. Because, I don't know, it they both got attention, though. I mean, like, it wasn't, like, national news and everything for Marley, but it sounds like they spent a lot of time trying to track down those guys, so, I mean, they both got attention.
Well,
it just wasn't on the news and everything.
It didn't get media attention.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah. But like a white person died, so like let's
Yeah.
throw all the resources we have.
Call out the Army and the National Guard and, you know.
Tobacco and firearms and explosives. Get in there. You know, and that's insane. I find it insane that they were found to be necessary to investigate the killing of a
Well, especially when they had all those guys on camera, right? They could just walk around the neighborhood. Hey, you know these guys?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that guy right there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it actually took what's his name? It took George Brown coming forward to actually identify the people in the video.
Oh, wow.
Which I saw the video and I only saw one person.
Okay.
So like it took him coming forward and there was like some things, and then also Brian Rivers and Julius Brown, their testimony also helped with the conviction, with the lifetime conviction of DeLeston, and like their coming forward as well helped the prosecution,
Right.
but they didn't get any sort of plea deals. I think it didn't say plea deal, and I couldn't find one, but I think George Brown got some sort of plea deal. Because
Probably.
here's
You
the
got
thing:
the lesser charges. Yeah.
it's insane, though, to me that one person gets murdered and 3 people are charged for it,
Right.
and then one person's murdered and 0 people are charged for it.
Yeah.
You know, that's the difference. That's why people were pissed.
Right.
You know, and and comparing the two and trying to turn it into this thing where like, oh, there's this what's the word I'm looking for? It's like hypocrisy kind of thing. Like they're trying to say that the left is hypocritic because or the left has hypocrisy of some kind because they paid attention to one case and not the other. It's like, no, you don't understand. A black kid was killed and 0 justice happened, and then a white kid is killed and they charge 3 people with murder.
Yeah, they just went overboard with it.
You know, and it's like that's where the anger is.
Yeah.
You know, it's stupid. It's a dumb meme, and that is the reason why I wanted to start this podcast, because I want to talk about these things and I want to sort of shed light onto these kind of things. And I know this meme is kind of dated, but future ones, it's going to be way more contemporary.
Right. Well, we're going to start with an early one. We're going to do all the ones in between, right?
No, no chance in hell.
This podcast is going to go forever.
We're going to start from 2012 and we're just going to go on.
Yeah.
We're going to be 6 years behind constantly. No.
Except for the next episode, which is current. And then, we'll go back to the 2012.
No. I do think it might be kind of a fun idea, though, to like jump back to some memes that were going around and kind of dismantle those, like kind of like a throwback. We'll do throwback episodes.
Okay.
I think that'd be kind of cool. But if you listen to this podcast and you enjoyed it, please let us know. And if you have any requests on some memes that have been going around that you would like me to dive into, I will. Because memes are fucking stupid sometimes and they need to be torn apart. Thank you guys all so much for listening to the Meaningless podcast because memes are meaningless. Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye.